Today is July 28th, 2018. Get ready for the Emerging Sea Broadcast System, the Forbidden History series, what they didn't want you to know, but we tell, right here. Time to call your friends, ladies and gentlemen. We now interrupt your normally scheduled programming to bring you this very important deprogramming program. Please note that the following views and the opinions expressed on this program are not necessarily the views nor the opinions of the Master Force Group, YouTube.com, Free America Radio Network, our sponsors, our partners, and MFG is a private society. Nothing here is ever to be construed as medical, no legal advice. And special thanks to YouTube.com for hosting the Forbidden History series. Diane, good to have you out there in Yuck, UK. And listen to the Forbidden History prime time 7 days a week right here on the realpublicradio.net, because hidden beneath the sands of time lies the greatest of all mysteries. It's the Forbidden History. Unearth for yourself the secret truths that lie hidden just beneath the surface below our feet. What is it that the powers that be do not want you or I to know? Come and journey with us as we explore and dare to know, because it's all right here, coming your way twice a day, mostly 7 days a week when we're doing it right on the realpublicradio.net, Free America Radio Network. And Sanji, good to have you. Is it okay if I call you Sanji for abbreviation? Those are a lot of letters I got to spit out every time on the broadcast. Sandgroper Studios. And we got people pouring in here. I can't get over it. We're having a landslide of friends stopping by, and that's pretty exciting. From around the world. It's like, okay, anybody from Mars? Anybody calling in from the moon? No. But around the world, okay. So stand by for the broadcast, ladies and gentlemen. You did tell your friends, right? Yuck, UK, yeah, yuck. Isn't it what it is? Oh, well, it looks like they got a bad crowd moving in there. I mean, it was okay. It was, even with the Queen, it was okay. But now it's like yuck, right? Okay, we can talk about it. Coming to you live from Studio Z at the Lighthouse in Central Ohio and Free America Radio Network in the land of dreams, enchantments, and nightmares. It's the Forbidden History series, the great lies of history, the duality revealed in patterns and pictures, the ABCs of light, symbolism, the words that kill, what they didn't want you to know, but we tell right here, ladies and gentlemen. We are the deprogramming program. It's the battle for your mind. Truth is light. Ignorance means to ignore. Ignorance is darkness. And these are antagonists, the one against the other. And we have problems on planet Earth, ladies and gentlemen, but the good news is this was only a railroad station. Just a stopover. Sandra. Okay, Sandgroper, I figures it was Sandra. Okay. Thank you. It makes it easy. Once we can begin to comprehend the true nature of things, then we can begin to comprehend that there is nothing more to complain about. It's just coming to terms with the reality of how bad it really is, ladies and gentlemen. We were dealt a black hand with an ace card of light. But we need to play it right. And that's why we're here, because we love the truth. And when we can find and see all of those lies, that sea of lies, it's a sea of lies, then we can find the truth. There's a duality in the matrix, but it reveals itself. And the one who doesn't want to know the truth is the slave who doesn't want to be free. And they deserve to be a slave. We're going to have a special guest right at the beginning here. I've got 2 programs coming next week. Okay, supplementary programs on this network, and all for you. Okay, so don't forget, a lie will race around the world, while the truth is slowly putting on its shoes. But the truth is confident and willing to stand alone. And if you don't know where you're going, then any road will get you there. And I wish you all the best. Okay, if you're going to leave off the sacred scriptures, the ancient message that came from the one who made all things, then you're basically lost, because you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. And that's what we're attempting to do right here, ladies and gentlemen. Waking up to reality. The individual is handicapped by coming face to face with a conspiracy so monstrous, so great, that he cannot even accept that it exists. Think so? I think that's probably true. So don't forget, if you want to follow the Forbidden History series, then you need to start at the beginning with the premier program about, what was it, June 21st, I believe? June 21st, ladies and gentlemen. So I just unloaded the whole apple cart, okay, right at the beginning, on so many things that I've been wanting to, share all these years, or, put it all, back to back, in a rapid fire succession. So you got the first 2 weeks are, a blockbuster from coming, from the standpoint of bringing you a lot that you've not heard before, not being talked about. But we got a special friend that I'm going to bring on right now, calling him up, and we'll hear about his program starting on Thursdays. It is an introduction to the ancient cult of 5 and its existence in our modern time. We're getting him on the phone right now. Alan.
Hello.
Alan, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Is this the way we tested it? Are you on speakerphone, or how are you doing it?
Yeah, it's speakerphone.
Okay. Very good. And I just gave it a little snippet. I gave him the title of your program that we're going to do starting on Thursdays, 1 hour. We're starting 1 hour, talking about the introduction to the ancient cult of 5 and its existence in our modern world. Every Thursday, starting at 9 o'clock. Okay, with Alan David. So, Alan, welcome to the Forbidden History. I interviewed you, I don't know, was it 6 years ago or so? And so I practically forgot everything you ever told me about the cult of 5, other than I know it's true. And so that's why I'm bringing you back on, because it's one of those a prime element of symbolism that apparently is right in our face, but we're not seeing the pattern, and you did, right?
Well, it was brought to my attention through a spiritual experience. I have a spirit group around me that you could call them spirit guides or whatever.
Yeah.
Or mind, group mind.
Now, Alan, hold on. I just want you to know your audio, if from a volume standpoint, I got my volume turned up all the way. It's about a 7. So if there's any way you can bring your audio up, just give emphasis, okay? Just want you to know that. Go ahead.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
That's a little better, I think. Give it a shot. Hi, Ninja.
So you want me to explain how this started? What led me into this discovery?
Yeah. This will be the primer for what we're going to talk about on Thursday.
This is totally spiritual. I received telepathy when I was in a crib at 2, which is hard to believe. And that's going to be in some other book I'm writing. And I have received telepathic messages throughout, my early years in kindergarten, elementary school. I had ESP, knew when things were going to happen. That's going to be in a book I'm writing. And that's the background. I was aware that I was surrounded by a spiritual realm, and that the whole world and everything is surrounded by a spiritual realms. Since I came into the world, I had the information. And what happened was one day I was going to try to go to sleep after doing a lot of work, and I could not sleep. And I was getting this strong energy through the will, which is like the center, where your navel is. When you hear the statement or the phrase, what does your gut tell you, gut check or whatever. Well, that's what I'm talking about. Right in the center there where the navel is, some people call it the assemblage point in your energy centers. Well, there was a strong energy there, and it was sending a message to my third eye, my mind. And it was a silent message. It's like telepathic. And it was telling me to get up and go to my steel filing cabinet, open up the first drawer and grab this package and pull out the first page of this tax court packet and look at the seal of the court. And
that's quite a bit of inspiration. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, I'm wondering, why is the spirit wanting me to go and do this? Why do I have to get up and do this in the middle of the night? I'm tired. I want to go to sleep. And I just kept ignoring it all night, but I couldn't sleep. It was constant. This energy was constant and sending me this message, telling me to go look at the seal on the first page of that tax court packet. And I just ignored it all night and couldn't sleep. Finally, it started getting twilight. And right before dawn, as it started getting lighter, before the sun appeared, I gave in. I just jumped up and I said, okay, to hell with it. And I turned on the light. And I pulled it. I go, what the hell is this about? And I pulled it out, opened the drawer, pulled out the first page of this thing, and looked at the seal of the tax court of the United States tax court, and looked at it very carefully. And I noticed a double 5 symbol. In the center of the seal was 5 rods down to a hatchet at the top, which is the fascite, symbol of fascite.
Yeah.
And then I later found out that the fascist party in Italy, Mussolini, if you look it up online, you'll find out the flag. The symbol for the Italian fascist party, Mussolini's fascist party flag, is exactly that. It's 5 rods down to a hatchet. On, I think, the right side. And so then I noticed another symbol for the number 5 directly below that, outside of the double circle seal, directly below the symbol of fashion was a 5-pointed star. So I noticed, there's a double 5 symbol in the seal, and I wondered, what could that mean? And then I immediately said, well, I grabbed a piece of paper and I started thinking about everything that I could think of connected to the number 5 or related to it. And I grabbed a 8x11 inch piece of paper from the notebook and started writing it down. Everything I could think of. And in about 5 or 10 minutes, the whole page was full. And then one of the last things I noted was where I was living at the time was apartment E, which is the 5th letter of the alphabet. And the address was 548, which it started with the number 5. So I said, I'm going to research. That's why I made the decision to research all the teachings about the number 5, everything that I could find related to the number 5. And so I started doing that.
Yeah.
And it just blew my mind what I found.
Right, but how come you became so immersed in it? In other words, just discovering it with an IRS document gave you enough oomph that you said, I'm going to pursue this?
No, it was the fact that the things that triggered it was I just wrote down everything I could think of about the number 5, and when I looked at that, all the stuff on the page, and then I realized that I was in apartment E, which is the 5th letter of the alphabet, and that the address I was living at was 548, which starts with a 5. So there's 2 5 symbols there. You see the parallel?
Yeah, and we're stuck on letter E right now in our alphabet. We're moving forward one letter at a time, and that's right where we're at, interestingly enough. Please continue.
So what I discovered was all kinds of stuff like, okay, here's the basic key to this whole thing. Everything to do with power and control in the world is basically through the globalist secret societies is set up to be controlled by 5 men. And that's might be hard for people to believe, but I'm going to show it to you and prove it to you. And you're going to shake your head by the time this is all done, and you're going to say, how come I never noticed this before? No one ever said or brought this up before. How come no one's noticed this? Well, I don't know. But I'll just throw one thing at you right now. You know 9/11, right? The 9/11 events?
Yep.
Well, what's the date? It's what? What was the date of 9/11?
The September, that's why they call it 9/11, 2001.
Yeah, well, did you ever add those numbers up in gematria? What does it add up to?
No, I haven't done that.
Okay, numerology, gematria is a form of numerology.
Yeah.
And you add the numbers up, you add them up until, get down to the lowest denominator.
Yeah, each letter, just to clarify, each letter is symbolic of a certain number or combination of numbers, like A is equal to 1 or 1,000, and so on, okay?
So when you add those numbers up to that date, it equals 5, okay? Now, there's 5 major events that you hear about 9/11. Okay, there's the 2 towers getting hit. There's a plane that was flying to the Capitol, supposedly, and it crashed. Okay, that's 3. Then there's supposedly a plane that was going to hit the Pentagon, which is a 5-story, 5-sided building with 5 concentric rings. And they tried saying it was a jet that hit it, right? Someone planted this little piece of an engine or something, and it turned out to be the wrong, engine. It didn't match the plane they said hit it. Well, people did FOIAs and stuff and, filed lawsuits. Eventually, what happened was they released a 5-frame piece of a video, the security video outside the Pentagon, and it's 5 frames. It's been on YouTube. I don't know if it's still up there, but I've got it written down for my book in a notebook. The 5 frames clearly show that what hit the Pentagon was a cruise missile flying low to the ground.
Yeah.
Okay, so
yeah.
Anyway, then the 5th event is Building 7, and here's another thing about it. There was 5. They say that there was 5 terrorists that were trained inside the U.S. at 5 bases. Okay, and they also say there was 5 military exercises going on at the time. Also, they say there was 5 young Jewish Mossad agents across the street watching the Twin Towers fall, doing high fives and videotaping it on their phones.
Yeah.
Also, at the same time this was going on, the President of the United States, George W. Bush, was at in his brother's state, Florida. His brother was the governor of Florida. He was over there at a school reading a book to 5th graders titled My Pet Goat. And at some point during that whole thing, there was 5 adults in the room when he was reading that to the 5th graders. And I consider this all a ritual. If you know anything about scapegoat rituals, I think that the meaning of it is that this was a scapegoat ritual where they used all those people in those buildings who died.
They were the scapegoat. Yeah. But also, Dave, Alan, he was reading the book upside down. It was clearly caught in photographs that it was upside down.
Just like an upside down 5-pointed star is a satanic pentagram.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and there's a lot of stuff, that you can go into regarding all those things that just keeps getting weirder and weirder and just totally outrageously, doesn't make any sense. And, it had to have been pre-planned and, all that. We know all that. But, all of our institutions, all the powerful institutions that rule the world were basically set up by 5 men, started by 5 men, or are controlled by 5 men. I'll say a few of those. The United Nations Security Council controls everything the UN does. It's 5 men or 5 individuals. Sometimes it could be a woman, I guess. It's 5 individuals who are from the 5 original nuclear powers. And that's like, the U.S., Britain, France, Russia, and China, I think. And then if you go back to World War II in the League of Nations, they set the League of Nations up the same exact way. There was 5 men that controlled it. And I had this history book that was, obsolete, outdated. It was like being thrown away by a library. And it was a book that was sponsored by, I think, the Department of the Army, U.S., about World War I. And I saved it. It was going to get thrown in the trash. And it was stamped obsolete because it had a little damage to the binding. But it was a real thick book. And when I looked at it, I go, oh, my God, I bet you there's some gems in here. And I went looking through it, and there's a photograph in there, right? And it has a man in a suit and tie standing in front of 4 generals. And at the bottom of the photograph, it says, it wouldn't be an exaggeration to say at the end of World War I that these 5 men ruled the world.
Yeah. Well, just like when they were doing operations in North Korea, or excuse me, during the Korean conflict, what they called a police action back in the 1950s, all of the intelligence had to go through the United Nations, and they gave all the secret intelligence about the plans of those with the United States Army and Southern Korea. All of their plans were given to the North Koreans and the Chinese right out the gate when they went through the United Nations. So it was told MacArthur knew that they were being sold out, and that was the downfall of MacArthur because he was too smart for all of that.
Well, yeah, it wasn't a U.S. war; it's a United Nations peacekeeping action. And that's who called the shots.
Yeah,
the U.S. had no control over any of it,
right.
Over Vietnam or Korea.
Yeah.
But what people don't know is stuff like, in 1944, the Bretton Woods conference where they created they made the dollar the world currency. They created the Internal Monetary Fund,
yeah.
And they made the U.S. dollar the world currency, right? And it was based on oil.
Yep.
Well, have you ever heard that the International Monetary Fund was basically composed of 5 organizations run by 5 men?
No, go ahead.
That's a documented fact. Just go look it up. Okay, then they have a thing called the World Bank.
Yeah, but repeat that agency that has the 5 men again.
All of these agencies I'm going to tell you about have the 5 men.
Okay.
All of them have the same thing. Okay, IMF, Internal Monetary Fund, it was created in 1944 at the end of World War II, the last year of the war. At Bretton Woods, the USA, they created this organization called Internal Monetary Fund, and actually it's 5 organizations run by 5 men. And that's what took over the world economy, is these 5 men.
Yeah.
They made the U.S. dollar the controlling currency of the whole world. So then you had the World Bank, okay? They created the World Bank, and I can't remember exactly when that was. It was around the same time. And you go look that up, and you'll find the same exact design. 5 organizations run by 5 men. So you have a pattern here that keeps repeating, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Then when you go look at when you go look at the creation of the Federal Reserve Act and the Federal Reserve Bank, do you think there's a difference in the pattern there?
What?
Same exact thing. Same exact thing. But if you read about the creature from Jekyll Island, there's a senator. He met with 5 men, and these 5 men were from the banking establishment, and they're the ones who planned the Federal Reserve Act and the Federal Reserve Bank.
Right.
The original board of, the board of the Federal Reserve Bank, the first one was 5 men, and now it's like 7, I think, or 9. I don't know how many it is. But and you find this over and over with all the major control organizations. One of them, like the Trilateral Commission, was created by Jimmy Carter and his Secretary of State, the guy who wrote this book called Between Two Ages. I have it sitting right here somewhere. And he's got a real hard name.
Okay.
He recently died. He was 90-something. But it was him, Carter, and 3 other men that created the Trilateral Commission.
You don't mean you don't mean Zbigniew Brzezinski, do you?
That's him. Zbigniew Brzezinski is the one who basically set all this up, and Carter went along with it.
Yeah.
Carter was just a puppet. Carter was a puppet.
Yeah. Well, Alan, I always figured something was up when they brought these guys in with these foreign Eastern accents, right? Eastern European?
Well, yeah, the guy, he's a Russian, and, he's a freaking communist.
Right. Well, the thing is, though, we hear these guys whispering over the shoulders of our, national presidents. Obviously, something must be up, right?
Yeah, well, it's a plan. This is a plan of secret societies. You got to remember.
Oh yeah.
They're secret society members. All of them are secret society members.
Oh yeah.
People thought. You remember when they presented Jimmy Carter as running for president as this good old Southern,
peanut farmer, peanuts, man.
Yeah, but did they ever tell you that he was actually a naval intelligence officer? He was an intelligence officer in the Navy. Did they ever tell you that?
Well, I knew that. However. Uh-huh.
But yeah. They didn't say it. When they presented him to the public, did they ever say that once?
No, actually, I think that was interesting because it was unknown.
Yeah, well, why did they want this guy to look like this humble, old, peanut farmer from down south? He was just this humble old country boy. Why did they not want you to know he actually had intelligence? He was an intelligence officer for the Navy, but they made him out to be this country bumpkin,
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's an interesting point, Alan, so pull it together.
Well, all of these, one of the things Jimmy Carter told people when he ran, some people raised the issue of UFOs. Do you remember what he stated about UFOs?
Yeah.
He stated that he himself had seen a UFO, and that if you elect me president, I am going to release the files and release it to the public, everything we know about UFOs.
Bingo.
Everything the government had. So what the hell happened?
It's a part of their mind control program. Go ahead.
It never happened. You know how many presidents have told us this story? There's a lot of presidents. Bill Clinton and Hillary were trying to get this released, and I think even, Ronald Reagan talked about it. He said, when he was at the UN, talking to the Security Council, I guess, he said, would it be, I think that if we were threatened by an outside force of alien invasion or whatever, that all the people of the world would drop all their little differences and come together to defend the earth against these aliens, right?
Yeah.
He made this statement, right? But once again, was anything ever really admitted by the federal government that there is such a thing, that these things are real? Was there any disclosure ever made? No, there was never any disclosure made. And there's little disclosures, you know, here and there, and there's some in FOIA where they've admitted that they exist, but they never will do a public, straight up statement to the public telling everybody and the whole world that any of this stuff's real. So, and there's other countries that have actually admitted it to their people, like Mexico and others. So, and you know, you find out if you do research that the U.S. has got their hands in all of these other foreign countries' UFO programs, and they're actually sharing information about crashes or this or that, and they've been working together for a long time. But they don't tell the public that either. They never tell. They don't give you any of those details. You got to go do research to find out.
Yeah.
And so when you get into the research of all these Western culture secret societies, who the heads of know all about this stuff. They know about the UFO file and a bunch of other things. You'll find out that they all have a core story about that has to do with the number 5. Usually it's about 5 men. And usually they were founded by 5 men, or in the case of Rosicrucians, it was 4 men and God, so that's 5 again. And that's one of their core stories. And in the case of Masons, 5 is the center of, you know, Masonry, and they have this secret thing about, you know, these 5 touches they do, and you know, it's really weird. It's a bunch of weird stuff.
Yeah.
But
but as far as the 5 goes, what is the deeper esoteric meaning? Is it simply the 5 points of a star?
Okay.
That means destruction?
No, I'm gonna tell you right now. I'll tell you right now what it is. Okay, I've tracked it and I know what it is. This is all based on sympathetic magic, and it's the microcosm and macrocosm, as above, so below, as below, so above.
Yeah.
And what it goes back to is the Book of Enoch, okay, and Gnosticism, okay. In the Book of Enoch, if you pay attention, they tell you that there was 5. They name the 5 angels who came down, who led all the other angels. They named 5 angels that led the others that came down. Now, if you read about Gnosticism, you can get a book called the Gnostic Bible, and in that book, somewhere they tell you about the 5 lights that first came out of heaven. Okay, it's the same thing. They're talking about those 5 angels that came down and led all the other angels. So that's what it's based on. That's where the Brotherhoods of 5 and the Cult of 5 is based on. It's those 5. If you read a book called Gods of Eden by a guy named Collins, his last name's Collins, in there he tells you the legends in Egypt and other places that tell you that 5 gods set up all of civilization. It was 5 men, which were gods. And he cites, I don't know, 3 or 4 places in the book, and he gives you the names of the gods and the legends where they came from that tell you that these 5 started civilization on Earth for mankind. And that's basically those 5 that came out of heaven in the book of Enoch the prophet, and in the Gnostic writings, the 5 lights that came out of heaven. It's the same thing. So that's basically what it's based on. That's why you have the Brotherhoods of 5, the Cult of 5. It's called sympathetic magic. What they're doing is trying to invoke or evoke the favor of these deities to get their support, you know, magic power, so that they can carry out what they want, to accomplish what they want in the world.
Yeah, their deluded power, self-perceived power that they have none of other than a jackboot and a baton and a gun on their hip. Wow. Well, very good, Alan. It's going to be an interesting program then, and I guess you're going to take us down all the different trails of 5 where you find them in different civilizations, or what?
Yeah. I'm covering a lot of stuff. Secret societies, ancient legends, you know, and I'm going to track it back to all these ancient civilizations. One of the other things that you find is that they divided architecture into 5 in Greece, and you'll find that they always would build 5 sacred buildings, 5 pyramids, 5 this, 5 that. And I'm going to go into that, and I tracked that in all the ancient civilizations, and I'll go over those kinds of things.
Yeah. Wow. Well, outstanding, Alan. I'll be looking for that. So that's Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern time, 6 p.m. Pacific. Every Thursday, then we're going to do this.
Yes, yes.
Okay. And do you have any contact information you want to give out?
Yeah, my email is alan@nahls.net.
Hold on. That's NH. Just give the what?
It's NAHLS.net. Alan, ALAN. That's my name. @ the letters N as in national, A as in Alan, H as in history, L as in love, and S as in society. And that stands for North American Historical Law Society. It's an acronym. Okay, .net.
And that's because you're a law researcher too, right? You actually were bringing
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I research everything: law, occult, secret societies, the whole 9 yards, the history and the roots and foundation of everything.
Right. And you're making legal precedents right now, are you?
We're trying to. It's still going.
Can you state the nature of what it is?
Well, there's an appeal going on, and it's basically after I did this case for this woman against GMAC, they filed for bankruptcy, and they've been in bankruptcy for like 8 or more years, GMAC, and it's because of an issue that I raised, and they're trying to hide out and hope that we go away, right? Because there's another appeal we had, and they went and filed a bankruptcy and got a stay. So that appeal is like 9 years old. It's just sitting there. So then I went and made a discovery that actually they had transferred the property secretly and didn't tell the court or didn't tell us. When we were still in court suing them, they had already dispossessed themselves of the property. So they had no standing to continue the lawsuit. When you do something like that, you have to transfer the real party in interest, the new owner. They never did it. They covered it up, and I discovered it years later. And so I filed a lawsuit against the new owner. And that now is in the Court of Appeal, and it's going to oral argument soon. And that's very interesting. I don't know what they're going to do, how they're going to try to sweep it under the rug. They're trying to avoid ruling on the issues that we're raising because it's an issue of first impression. It'll set precedent law. And, I'm not going to go into it any more than that because it's still pending.
Okay. Well, great. You sure have your irons in a lot of fire, and I know that you're on the cutting edge in more ways than one. So we'll look forward to Thursday then, coming this week. Introduction to the Ancient Cult of Five and its existence in our modern world. They're doing the high five all day long in front of you, ladies and gentlemen, and you can't see it, right, Alan? Basically.
Yeah.
The high five.
Yeah.
Right in your face. In one sense, the symbolism of the five, Alan, could it, if we were to take it to its most primitive root, could we say that it represents the?
Remember, I'll tell you right now, as above, so below. Okay, above, all religions have a thing in common. It's called the Triune God or the Holy Trinity. 3 above and 2 below is duality. The 2 that is below is duality. That's our universe. It's creation. Everything in creation is duality too.
Yeah.
And everything above, and God above, the source is the Holy Trinity or the Triune Godhead. Well, that is basically past, present, and future, which are all one to God. There is no past, present, and future to God. It's all the same. God knows past, present, and future. Mm-hmm. Without distinction, knows it all in a continuum. For us, there's a distinction. We don't have the past, present, and future in our mind without a breakup. We have to die and we have to go through all these divisions, but not God. So that's what it is. It's if you've ever seen this image, it's called the Knights Templar worshipped it. What was it called? It's got 3 horns, actually 5 points.
Are you talking about Baphomet?
Baphomet. Yes, Baphomet. If you look at Baphomet closely, you'll see three fingers pointed up and two down with one hand, and three up with one, or two down with the other, right? Or vice versa. They do it both ways. Sometimes it's two up and with one hand and three down with the other. Okay, that's totally occult, and that's what I'm telling you about. When the three is up, this the Godhead ruling. When the three is down, they're claiming that they are God ruling from the earth, and the two up there is flipped. Okay, good is evil, evil is good. Up is down, down is up. So you can look for those two, and you'll see it in various sculptures of other people doing the same symbol.
Yeah.
Look closely at the hands. Look closely at the hands.
Oh, yeah.
And see how many fingers are pointed up and how many are pointed down, depending on whether it's a 3 or a 2. See, 3 and 2 is 5.
Yeah.
And the occult secret societies have a specific meaning for the 3 and the 2. It's male and female, but they flip it around and twist it into the opposite of what it really is. I'm not going to go into more than that, but that's 3 is they say male and 2 is female, but it's probably the other way around. That's what the occult powers say.
Everything is reversed in their world.
Yes. Good is evil, evil is good. Up is down, down is up. Left is right, right is left. Darkness is light is darkness,
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Alan, you've given us a little bit to get a picture of where we're going on Thursday. So I hope many of our friends will be there to join in, and that you got a little time now for prepping for Thursday's presentation. So I want to thank you. Is Melody Gillespie available?
Yeah, just give me a minute. I'll get it to her.
Okay, very good. And stand by, ladies and gentlemen. We got a double play here because I have two great friends, actually under the same roof, because they're mutual friends as well. Alan actually met Melody in a law library of all places. So, and we're getting feedback.
Here it comes.
Okay, thank you, Alan. And everybody online says thank you. Okay, everybody in the chat room here. Thank you, Alan. Is Melody there?
Hello.
Melody.
Yes, it's me.
Right. Okay. You might want to back off the mic just a little bit. You're on speakerphone, right, Melody?
Oh, yes, I am.
All right, that's better. That's pretty good right there. So thank you. And so, so friends, when I had the Real Public Radio, the realpublicradio.net up and operating, then I did 7-day week of law programming, and one of the law programs that I used to produce was for this lady right here on the phone. She did a program called Mel's Bar and Grill, and I used to think that was the 50s program, with the top hits of the 1950s and Mel's Bar and Grill, because that one guy Casey Kasem used to go to the diner, right? And so I got fooled, and I didn't listen to her for about a year until finally somehow my friends who are big listeners of hers then were telling me about her, and really, oh, okay. And then and so we hooked up right at a point when she was kind of shifting from other networks, and so I was very honored to produce for her Mel's Bar and Grill, and I come to find out she cooked up attorneys. She wasn't playing oldies; she was cooking attorneys on the frying spit. And so I just said, "Hey, Melody, make mine well done. Throw them out the back door." And here she is, Melody Gillespie. Melody, wasn't that true?
Well, certainly did put him in the hot seat a few times.
Well, a lot of people have tried. I mean, but it's a loser's battle when we don't know how the full ball game is being controlled, right?
Right. Yes. And that's what I want to talk about is, this is the government of the people. The people are the government. They're supposed to govern those that govern. And keep them honest and keep them. There are public servants, and they've got the idea that we're their slaves. And people have lost the knowledge on how to keep them honest and operating with to the letter of the law. You know, they have to have an oath of office to even be able to reach out and touch the people.
Okay.
How many of them have an oath of office?
Well, I think, Melody, the answer is not only don't they have a heart, but they don't have an oath of office. 90% of them.
And then there's other things too. If they're appointed, they have to have a commission. How many of them have a commission? And what does it mean for them to have a commission? They have to have the governor sign a commission to them, in which their oath of office is attached. That's part of their commission.
Oh, well, Melody,
and then
go ahead. Finish your point, and I'm going to jump in. Finish your point.
And then it's certified and filed into the Secretary of State's office and entered into the journal law.
Okay. And
how many of these agencies that are appointed by, where the executive director is appointed by the governor, because they are part of the executive branch, how many of them do you think have the oath of office and their commission?
Probably none of them. Probably none of them. And so what I realized was, because they do everything in reverse, Melody, not only don't they have a commission, but in essence, therefore, what they actually have is an omission, and they're not talking, right?
That's exactly right. They're not only that, that means they have no authority.
Yeah.
And
wait a minute. And I just got to say, the Black's Law definition, Black's Law 6 of authority, one word definition for authority: permission. If you buy into the illusion, it's permission. One word.
Exactly. And we'll be going over case law. We'll be going over what they're required to have, and what you need to do ahead of time before they reach out and touch you. And those your friends and your relatives, is to get all of this information ahead of time and have it ready.
Yeah. Well, as I said,
so bad. It's gotten so bad that I don't think there's anybody who hasn't been touched by these agencies.
Yeah. Well,
local, state, and federal.
Yeah, Melody, I just said the other day when I was talking in this line, I said we learn about the law at the worst possible time in our life, and it is at the very time when we need it the most, and that's not only bad, it's virtually fatal, right?
Exactly. And what about the judges? What do they have to have? If the court is now, thanks to the Uniform Trial Court Act, an agency. And thus you have the court administrator who runs the show. So what does that make these judges, and what do they have to have in place?
They're actors, and they're sitting on the bank, right?
What if you have a judge that's just completely running amok, and then everybody seems to back him up, and you go to the Court of Appeals with a great issue at law, and they back up the judge who is just flying by the seat of his pants. What about who's going to be in charge at the November election? Who's going to win? should it matter? Because if the people were on their toes and knew what to look for, they could get bad laws vacated. They could completely paralyze the guy who's in office if he refuses to follow what he's required to have. And if he would follow what he's required to have, I mean, he wouldn't follow the law to the letter and not harm the person or violate his constitutionally guaranteed rights if he had everything in order. But the Supreme Court, get this, said that if you engage with these agencies, you do so at your own peril.
Yeah.
So I felt my mission is to teach people what they need to know to take back the republic. And that's by getting these corrupt so-and-sos helping them meet Jesus. And what I mean by getting religion anyway, what I mean by that is they're going to find out they need to do what's right or they're out.
Right. Well,
so they're going to have a meeting Jesus moment when you know what to do when they start coming after you and they haven't got their ducks in a row. You can't be on the defense. You have to be on the offense. And whether it's a bad Democrat or a bad Republican or a bad communist or socialist or independent, whoever gets into office, people need to know what to do to shut them down when they're going to do something wrong.
Yeah. Well,
and the people have all the power.
Yeah. Well, Melody, part of your presentation was on what you call the underground regulations. So is that something you want to touch on real quick to give people an idea of the game that's played?
Well, the underground regulations are the regulations that they made up that day for that moment out of a so-called doctrine of necessity because of an emergency. And I've read on the site of the Office of Administrative Law, which every state has, that they use underground regulations as a so-called mandate from the people to do something that they don't have time for to go through the regular rulemaking process.
Yeah.
And what that means is that they have to run it by the people first and give them a year to comment on it before they start to enforce it.
Right, but it sounds like what you're talking about actually came out of the War and Emergency Powers Act of circa 1933, right?
That's basically what they're using. Yeah. And they're claiming that it's a mandate of the people. Now, I know the agency that reached out and touched me. It's not pleasant. And sometimes I win, sometimes I don't. But I'll tell you what I do know is that I never, ever mandated that they do anything by emergency. Or them coming after me was never an emergency either.
Right. The emergency was, let's see how quick we can rip off America in a War and Emergency Powers deal contract with the Federal Reserve and switch over into the bankruptcy of the United States and hope nobody notices it, right?
Oh, yeah, people don't know where it's coming from. They assume that it's published law in the book of regulations or the statutes, and it's not. It's something they made up for that day at that time.
So they moved away from common law into statutory code rules and regulations, a la the bankruptcy, and Erie Railroad versus Tompkin became the first statutory case that negated all precedents prior to that based on common law? Simple way to put it, Melody?
Well, and then into administrative law.
Uh-huh.
Now, administrative law is part of the executive branch, and it's fine if you're somehow a member or have a contract with the executive branch. But some of it's just presumed that you are.
Well, in other words, if the presumption is never rebutted, it stays with the presumption then, right?
Well, yeah, so they say. I guess it's under the commercial law. Yeah, that's what they use to get a lien against you.
But that's under international law. That's the IMF now, right?
Well, each state has their own commercial code.
I see.
And then there's also the federal commercial law and the law of merchants.
And that's the law of commerce, and that's the law of maritime. And
well, I don't think the maritime and commercial law and the law of merchants is the same thing. It's not.
okay.
And that's the one thing that I found is so many good people doing so much good research don't understand the different types of law, and they do mix apples and oranges up.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, you're going to set the apples and oranges straight then, starting on Monday?
We're going to work on that, yes. That's my goal.
Well, good. Okay. Do you have any a website or any contact information that you want to give out, Melody? And also, do you provide any services, for our friends in case they get in a jam? Do you have any way of helping people who fall victims to the system right now?
I haven't got anything set up yet. But we'll see if, how things go.
Okay.
If I will go ahead and set things up or not. It's my experiences of working with people haven't been pleasant.
Yeah.
So I'm just not sure if I want to go there. I might, if they want research, we might provide that. Yeah.
Well, some people need help in all aspects, so whether it's from word processing to research or whatever, but you're basically, it would be fair to say you're paralegal, basically, right, Melody?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, very good. Then, so you might be able to at least refer. Melody knows a lot of people in the, in the movement of law research. Like I said, she met Alan at a law library. She's just been hanging out behind the law books about 15, 20 years of her life. And
fighting traffic tickets mostly.
Dealing with traffic, yeah. Yeah, she wasn't related to the clot. Go ahead.
The last 8 years has been in court with a very bad neighbor.
Yeah.
And if, some people come really, really late with needing help, and it's just really hard because how can I put together my research and go travel and gather the stuff I need to gather if I'm, tied to doing work for somebody? I would rather provide the research and they do the work.
Yeah.
Here's what happens. You set somebody up beautiful, and they go in and they let the court bully them into withdrawing.
Withdrawing?
After you set everything aside,
yeah,
and work so hard, and they feel intimidated and allow the attorneys and the judges to have them set it aside when they they had every chance of winning. You know, and it happens time after time after time. And I can't really get the research done, and I need to help people learn this stuff so that they can stop their county and state and federal officials and agencies from running over them if I'm tied up doing cases in which they're only going to withdraw anyway.
Yeah. But you know people who do that word processing if somebody needed that, right?
Well, what we can provide is different resources that they can purchase to do themselves, and then we can help with research.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well,
which we'll post. We got a lot of research posted on SKYPE.
On what?
SKYPE. It's SCRIBD.
FC.
We have S, C as in Charlie, R, I, B as in boy, and D as in dog.
Okay.
.com.
And the first letter was Frank, right?
The first letter is Frank.
F?
No.
No.
S as in Scott.
Oh.
Sally.
Okay. Go ahead.
All right. So, did you get it right this time, or do I need to say it again?
Just say it one more time the normal way. Just go right ahead.
Okay. S as in Sally. C as in Charlie. R as in Ralph. I. B as in boy. D as in dog.
All right.
.com.
Okay, and so Melody, how long you been doing this?
Oh, a lot of years.
35?
Since the 90s.
That's close to 35 then, right?
I think it's close to 20 something.
20, okay, right, yeah, okay, because I started 28 years ago. I started broadcasting. That was 1990. Okay, yeah, okay. So, well, anyway, you've been really swinging, you know, and I wouldn't want to do what you've done, okay, ever. Mine was rough enough, but I was bad enough going into the ancient writings and the lost scriptures and all of that and being a translator. I had no room for being a legal, you know, glutton.
Yeah. It's difficult. People get scared.
Well, it's a lot of study, a lot of work. It's a commitment, and it's like you're going to World War I, and you're either going to win the battle or you're going to go to the grave.
Yeah, I would suggest everyone purchase the course Jurisdictionary. That will teach you so much about how to operate in court. And then I'm going to teach you how to operate within the agency.
Agencies being?
Local, state, and federal.
Okay. And so federal, it would include the Supreme Court?
Well, the Supreme Court, I don't really know what they are other than they have opinions.
Oh, right. Well, I was going to refer, you know, them to Lloyd's of London. You know, it seemed a couple of them are in Lloyd's of London, but yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so basically they're just a front operation for the covert Illuminati, right?
It would appear so.
I always like looking at that one woman in her nightgown, you know, with her black hair and her, you know, what's her name? I can't believe they're pushing her around in a wheelchair, you know. It's unbelievable. The charade
Yeah.
is so amazing. You know, these people actually honor each other while they're the most dishonorable people that ever walked the face of the earth.
Yes, they are.
Unbelievable. So Melody, we'll look forward to having you then on Monday night, and swinging and cooking up attorneys and poking them a little bit, right? It's always good to do.
Yes. And my contact will be melsbarngrill@gmail.com.
Mel's Bar and Grill, is that AND or is that ampersand?
That's AND.
Mel's Bar AND Grill, Mel's Bar and Grill at gmail.com.
Yes, and I'll have a website soon.
Okay. Everybody bring their own attorney? Or what?
Well, the neat thing about going after agencies is you don't need an attorney in administrative law.
Well, no, but I meant the one to cook up. Do everybody have to bring their own attorney to put on the Barbie?
Oh, yes, that's true. They do have to bring their own attorney to cook.
All right. Love it. Okay, Melody, you've been...
I can suggest a few names if they don't know one.
Right. So anyway, Melody, it's great to be back with some friends hanging out, doing important work for people that may need some help here. So thank you for coming by on Mondays. All right, we'll look forward to having you one day from tomorrow, 9 p.m.
Okay.
9 p.m. Eastern Time, 6 p.m. Pacific Time. Melody Gillespie, Mel's Bar and Grill, coming back for a midsummer, end of the world barbecue. Okay, right here. Thank you, Mel.
Okay. I'll see you then.
You have a good night.
Bye-bye.
We'll talk later. Bye-bye. All right.
Okay, bye.
Melody Gillespie, ladies and gentlemen, really great people, have been doing important work, and I had them on my network, and I don't know where half of them are anymore. Let me hang up that phone. So, yeah, let's go to a song, okay? We got to do some words. I think I'm ready for a song. How about you? I want to thank all of you for tuning in. Want to welcome our new listeners, okay? And I hope you tell any friends about the broadcast. I'm going to be bringing on some interesting friends that have important things to offer to our audience, okay? Whether I'm trying to get Mickey Paletta. He used to play bass with the Beach Boys, but now he helps people save their homes from those notorious banksters. You know what I mean? Where they just decide they want to call in the note. Well, he's gonna help you to maintain your home. Okay, so that'll be hopefully coming up in about a week as well. And then I've got Neil Price, #1 criminal defense attorney in Pennsylvania. He'll be glad. Transylvania, I should add. I produced a program for Neil called The Price is Right, because Neil never asked for any money, never asked for donate, and he'll volunteer. They took his shingle away, so he can't practice law anymore, but he was his own researcher, his own private investigators. He was going after those corrupt judges and prosecutors, and then they went after him, and so but he works as an angel trying to help people. So I'll try to get Neil on, because there's different approaches to law. There's no easy answer. When you're dealing with criminals that are running government, and everything else related, then it's a difficult web. Okay, we're dealing with spiders, and I hate spiders, don't you? And so you've got to know and be aware. Okay, so by the way, we've had some record temperatures, absolutely record temperatures in I think Dallas, the United Kingdom, what other parts of the world? It's already been a record year, and people are still buying into the lie and the illusion that's being created right now of the cooling down of the earth. Right? It's not happening. Okay, Greenland is collapsing into the northern Atlantic Ocean. The Antarctica, or excuse me, the Arctic is basically, gone. Okay, the ice and all that stuff. Yeah, that was yesterday. That's not today. So, so you better get ready, okay, and you better let your friends know, those you care about. Say, hey, look, Baba, I think today you should stop watching the game, and you just need to look up in the sky, okay? Look up in the sky. Stop looking at your iPhone. Look up in the sky and see if you don't see what I see, okay? And yeah, right? You think? So let's go to a song, and I'll be right back. So glad to have you tuned in tonight. Hope you're telling your friends. This is the realpublicradio.net, if you haven't noticed. Free America Radio Network. I'm Desert Owl. Glad you tuned in. You did tell your friends, right? You did tell your friends, didn't you? Come on. Go call your friends right now. I'll be right back. After all, you wanted to know, didn't you? You wanted to know. That's why you're here. There's Sandra. Thank you, Sandra. Oh, perfect timing. Welcome back to the broadcast, ladies and gentlemen. The Forbidden History series, what they didn't want you to know, but we tell right here. Because somebody's got to do it, and that's why we're here. So, ladies and gentlemen, yeah, we had record temperatures around the world. Around the world, okay? Africa, the highest ever recorded temperature, what was it, 126? 126, that's about close to saying 130. Did you ever hear of 130 on planet Earth? 130, think about it. So we're going into something where we've never been before, and the oceans are heating up. The night times are not cooling down. So just because there's isolated places with cold, that's part of the illusion. You know, on the back issues of the Forbidden History series, I talked about how they manipulated our ocean currents by poking a hole in the bottom of the Gulf of Mexico and bringing up that oil. And what transpired as a result of that, you know, it stopped the Gulf current. The Gulf current was stopped, and all of a sudden, water was coming out of the north instead of going up and going over to England, and all of that stopped, and therefore now that's why England gets so cold in the wintertime. But wait a minute, summertime now, yuck, yuck. Okay, it's not good in the UK right now. Okay, and by the way, if you have a great lie of history, if you have a great lie of history, I want you to bring it on, you know, to this program. Okay, so you can tell us that great lie that we haven't talked about yet or forgot about, or you just discovered, whatever, you know, a great lie of history. Come on, and you get a free copy of the Real Da Vinci Code Etymological Dictionary by yours truly, or the Book of Wisdom by Joseph of Arimathea, or a sample of the original gospel. Anything, you know, but bring on the lies, okay? We'd love to hear it. And Sandra's laughing out loud. What are you laughing out loud about, Sandra? Australia is not melting. They're blasting us with fake cold. That's okay. So Ninja, you know about that? Okay, you listening to Dane Wigington then, right? Geoengineering.org. Geoengineering.org, I believe it is. Oh, geoengineeringwatch.org. Geoengineering Watch. Okay. So yeah, we're in trouble, ladies and gentlemen, and so let's talk about those piracy of words, okay? The piracy. What they weren't going to teach you in school because they educated you, and then what they hoped you'd never hear on the Forbidden History. Back into the piracy of words. This prototype book I published, or you know, drafted, but will never officially publish probably. So we're on berth, okay? And berth is when a ship comes in, right? All on the Admiralty. It's a commercial event. And when a ship or vessel comes up to the dock, that's the doctor, one with the power of the dock. Sign here, please. To unload the cargo. When the vessel comes up to the dock to unload the cargo, by the labor force available, it will not have been her maiden voyage, but for some strange reason they will want her to lie, that is to inform, because she becomes the informant. The mother becomes the informant on her cargo, on herself, and provide a maiden's name. Does that make her a real bastard out of them? Out of them all? Oh yeah, and don't forget, you have to weigh the bill, and so there's your weigh bill. In commerce, I wouldn't lie to you. Birth certificate, birthright. Birth certificate, 1. Death certificate, 2. Certification of indebtedness, 3. In Roman law, we were placed under Roman civil law with the New Deal in the 1930s. Before a baby's feet ever touched the ground, if it was to be a slave, they were impressed with ink, making baby's feet impressions on the back of that cargo birth certificate, and presto magico, that baby has just become a slave forever. Peonage. A slave for life before its innocent little feet ever touched the ground. Did they do that to you, ladies and gentlemen? So what are you having for dinner tonight, slave? C, do you want to watch the sports tonight? I look in Webster's 1828. Sports means diversion. Diversion. What about birthright? Would you like to have a birthright? Maybe if you're a ship, You don't need a birthright, or wouldn't want to have a birthright, right? Let's find out. Not found in the books of Black's Law. There is no birthright. Whoa, what? I guess you don't have any rights then. A debtor has no rights. Isn't that the maxim of law? A debtor has no rights. And we were made debtors in the great bankruptcy of the United States. We becoming the surety for the security. See the flaw in the law while you change the diapers. Oh, yeah. And Black's Law Dictionary, you need to read upon this stuff, ladies and gentlemen. And bonds, well, if they got you in stocks and bonds, they got you bound. Slavery, debt you can't pay. See, chains and chains, change and chains. They got you in locks and chains and change on Wall Street. Debtor, still happy, didn't spill enough fee. Debtors, read on. Black's Law Dictionary. The Occult Book of Black Law. It's Black Law, ladies and gentlemen. That's why they call it Black's Law Dictionary. It's black law. That's why the judges wear black. That's why the priesthood wears black. The Occult Book of Black Law, Black's Law Dictionary, where the words and their meanings never stop changing. Woo! See back of the book where it lists all of the royal families of England, the Norman Franks, dating back to a 1,000 years, when the Norman Franks took over free England, Saxony, for the Vatican, and the U.S. presidents are listed in none of them. Does that not tell you that this law book originates from England? Black robe. Black robe. Now, there's somebody I want to invite to my party. Somebody that wears a black robe. They're standing in the darkness, all of them. Catholic priests wear black too. We're talking priests, hoods. Hood means secret. The secret priests, warlock. To lock the war. To unlock war. With the warlock. Blah, blah, blah. See, the only reason the doctors aren't wearing black is because it would be a dead giveaway. Something wasn't right. So the doctors wear white. And by all means, don't be an organ donor on your driver's license if you know what's good for you. Brotherhood of Death. Oh, that's the real name of Skull and Bones. Come over from Germany in the early 1800s, the Brotherhood of Death, founded and morphed themselves into the Skull and Bones secret society, Yale University, Yale for the lock, because they got the lock on America, and helped found Yale University in New England. Oh, New England, just like Old England. Hey, are they working with the Germans too? The women have a society of their own there, non-secret, but called the Keepers of the Keys. Rather symbolic. For Yale University, the lock, the women have the keys. Thus, in the symbolic metaphor of Yale University, puts a lock in on America. These men running all of the most important interests to the bone, the skull of bones. See, it is no accident that there is a lock company called Yale. Get the picture. Just like the Scottish Rite Freemasons have a transparency tape called Scotch tape. Also explains why we've got the strongest tissue being Scotch tissue. Next thing you're gonna tell me, desert, is that Nebraska spelled backwards a Muslim tyrant called Aksarbin? Nebraska backwards is Aksarbin? Go see Nebraska if so. Next letter coming up on the list is letter C. And it's a piracy of words, ladies and gentlemen, right here. Hope you're telling your friends about the broadcast. And we got some notes here. Melody, I wish I could call, but I'm not that brave. Okay. Well, anyway, Melody is always available for anybody that's trying to figure any of this stuff out. Okay. But one more word that they killed us with. Okay. Let me see. Well, oh yeah, I had a question here. Why do they call? You tell me. All right. Why do they call weathermen meteorologists? Can anybody out there tell me why a weatherman would call himself a meteorologist? Do they ever, um, are they going to report on the cosmic things? You know what I'm saying? Oh yes, well, we're having a meteor shower today, and we just hope that you'll stay inside and, and tough it out over there because we're meteorologists, weathermen. All right, something smells fishy in that deal. So, okay, well, I hope that let's see, we got Sandgroper here. Okay, Sandgroper, just a notice, um, I need to get your email because I wanted to send you the Real Da Vinci Code Etymological Dictionary, Sandra. Okay, so get me your email. Okay, it's contact@freeamericaradio.com. Contact@freeamericaradio.com. And I want to get you that Real Da Vinci Code Etymological Dictionary, and it's quite a work. In fact, I have a book review I was going to do tonight, and it's on the Arthur Kessler, the 13th Tribe. And yeah, Sandra, you know about meteors, right? Of course you do. Arthur Kessler, the 13th Tribe. The startling new discovery about the true ancestry of the Jewish people. It will definitely cause a stir. John Barkham reviews. Okay, Arthur Kessler, the 13th Tribe. And this is actually the true Israel, ladies and gentlemen, and the greatest secret that, but yet it's not a secret. That's the amazing part about this. I'm going to show you that the fact that the people who call themselves Jews today are not Israel and are proud of being Khazars. I'm going to read it to you out of the back of my appendix in the Real Da Vinci Code Etymological Dictionary. Okay? So you're going to hear their own words, their words, okay? In their dictionaries, their encyclopedias, their columns, their stories, their words. They are laughing all the way to their banks that are under the control of the Vatican, the greatest show on earth, and they are media, okay, as well as banking, and they are religion, and they are a religion that does not like you, ladies and gentlemen, and they are pretending Israel while they embrace the most ancient serpent cult that ever ran our world. Stand by for the broadcast and just give me one more song and we'll be on that program, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. We'll be right back. One more mandatory break here. Beautiful song. And then we're going to get into who these people really are in their own words. In their own words. Get ready. And welcome back. And don't forget, you are tuned in right here to the RealPublicRadio.net, Free America Radio Network. What they didn't want you to know, but we tell right here. Okay, Sandra, thank you. Good deal. And it's great to connect with our friends around the world. You know, it's a small world anymore. It's amazing. And I am your host, Desert Owl, for those of you who may be tuning in new for the first time. Okay. And we're here. We've been here all along, but the problem was we just couldn't broadcast. You know, it's like, okay, how do we ramp this thing up when we're out of reserves and we're um, yeah, it's been a rough haul when you do this thing from a tank of love, but not very sponsorship just never was there. You know, when all these $1 million corporations can tell all the lies, somebody who comes along and can tell the truth. Well, they don't, they just don't seem to have the funny money. I can't figure it out, but that's just the way it seems to be. Okay. And Mew Mew, thank you for stopping by. I guess you're off for the moment. And so thank you for stopping by. But we've got a group of people running our world who absolutely hate our guts. They are laughing at us all the way every time we go to the bank. And nobody gets the picture, ladies and gentlemen. I just can't get over it. I need a little more light. Hang on. Because we're going to, I guess these are the funnies. Because it's funny, then nobody gets it. I should read my favorite page out of Arthur Kessler's The 13th Tribe. Look for it on the internet. But it's when there's one reading in here, one page of the 13th Tribe of these people who became what we call Jews today, that defies all. Well, it's actually where the term vulgar comes from. Okay, it's the true vulgarism, so let's hear what they have to say about themselves, right? Because nobody's more qualified to talk about themselves other than oneself, right? So the Kingdom of the Khazars. This is in the appendix of the Real Da Vinci Code Etymological Dictionary. Okay, in the appendix, the Kingdom of the Khazars. There's a map there, and then under that I have a whole variety of quotes that are just astounding. Okay, so below the picture I say, see Arthur Kessler's book, The 13th Tribe, Caesar, which is Khazar, and also Kaiser, and Caesar, Caesar. Quote, it is highly probable that the bulk of the Jews' ancestors never lived in Palestine at all, which witnesses the power of historical assertion over fact. Fact. Historical assertion over fact. I'll read it again. It is highly probable that the bulk of the Jews, quote unquote, ancestors never lived in Palestine at all, which witnesses the power of historical assertion over fact. Under the heading of a brief history of the terms for Jew, in the 1980 Jewish Almanac we read, strictly speaking, it is incorrect to call an ancient Israelite a Jew. Hallelujah. Let's read that again. Strictly speaking, it is incorrect to call an ancient Israelite a Jew. Bingo. Or to call a contemporary Jew an Israelite or a Hebrew. Bingo. Did you get that? It is the greatest show on earth, ladies and gentlemen, a false cultural switch out. Remember, in the first week, 2 weeks I did here on this latest, series in the Forbidden History series, I proved, hands down, no question, that Israel ceased to exist at 730 BC. 730. And we have people now claiming the throne and authorship, a legitimate claim to something that does not exist, while they bludgeon and persecute another people called Palestinians into oblivion and the ultimate MK Ultra mind control concentration camp. Continuing in their own words, the World Book omits any reference to the Jews, but under the word Semite, it states Semite. They might not. Semites are those who speak Semitic languages. Well, that makes sense, right? In this sense, the ancient Hebrew, Assyrian, Phoenician, Carthaginians were all Semites. The Arabs and some Ethiopians are modern Semitic-speaking people. This whole thing with Semite, though, is really the ultimate diversion. It's the ultimate scam. But I'll continue here. Modern Jews are often called Semites. Yeah, that's because they want to be identified that way. That's the trick. But this name properly applies only to those who use the Hebrew tongue. The Jews, quote unquote, were once a subtype of the Mediterranean race, but they have mixed with other peoples until the name Jew has lost all racial meaning. I think in this instance, it's a code for Judean, okay, because it goes back that far. There are hundreds of books, mainly Jewish encyclopedias and histories available for study, which prove that over 90% of the Jews, quote unquote, of the world are not a Semitic people, quote unquote, but few people other than historians ever bother to read them. The following are just a few. Quote, "The Jews are not a race," by Dr. Alfred Lilienthal, Jewish historian, their own words, journalist, lecturer, and graduate of Cornell University and Columbia Law School. During the Second World War, he served with the U.S. Army in the Middle East. He later served with the Department of State and as a consultant to the American delegation at the organizing meeting of the United Nations in San Francisco. On December 18, 1993, Dr. Lilienthal celebrated both of his 80th birthday and the 40th anniversary of his first book, What Price, Israel? Dr. Lilienthal, who is a courageous anti-Zionist Jew, was joined by more than 200 guests who traveled from all the United States to attend. Next up, The History of the Jewish Khazars by D.M. Dunlop, pages 4 through 15. Quote, "Our first question here is, when did the Khazars and the Khazars name appear? There has been considerable discussion as to the relation of the Khazars to the Huns on the one hand and to the West Turks on the other. The prevalent opinion has for some time been that the Khazars emerged from the West Turkish Empire. Early references to the Khazars appear about the time when the West Turks ceased to be mentioned. They thus are reported to have joined forces with the Grekas, the Greek Emperor Heraclitus, against the Persians in AD 627 and to have materially assisted him in the siege of Tiflis. It is a question whether the Khazars were at this time under the West Turks' supremacy. The chronicler Theophanes died circa 818, who tells the story, introduces them as the Turks from the east, whom they call Khazars. Khazar traders brought not only silks and carpets of Persia and the Near East, but also their Judaic faith to the banks of the Vistula and of the Volga. But the kingdom of Khazaria was invaded by the Russians, and Itil, its great capital, fell to Svetslav of Kiev in 969. The Byzantines had become afraid and envious of the Khazars, and in a joint expedition with the Russians, conquered the Crimean portion of Khazaria in 1016. Crimea was known as Khazaria until the 13th century. The Khazarian Jews, quote unquote, were scattered throughout what is now Russia and Eastern Europe, and we should include West. Some were taken north, where they joined the established Jewish community of Kiev. Now, Benjamin Freeman. Facts are facts. Khazars, a people of Turkish origin whose life and history are interwoven with the very beginning of the history of the Jews of Russia. They threw over the Romanovs. Driven out by nomadic tribes of the steppes and by their own desires for plunder and revenge. In the second half of the 6th century, the Khazars moved westward. The kingdom of the Khazars was firmly established in most of South Russia long before the foundation of the Russian monarchy by the Varangians. Love them people. At this time, the kingdom of the Khazars stood at the height of its power and was constantly at war. At the end of that's the way they've always been, haven't they? That's since they've been running the show. We've had unending war. Go figure. At the end of the 8th century, the Kagan, king of the Khazars, and his grandees, I'm sure they weren't that grand, together with a large number of his heathen people, embraced the Jewish religion, whatever that means. Is that Babylon, the Talmud? I think it's the Babylonian Talmud. That's the right way to say it. The Babylonian Masonic Talmud of Krishna. Continuing the next definition, Encyclopedia Americana, 1985. Quote, Khazar, an ancient Turkish-speaking people who ruled a large and powerful state in the steppes north of the Caucasus Mountains from the 7th century to their demise in the mid-11th century AD. In the 8th century, its political and religious head, as well as the greater part of the Khazar nobility, abandoned paganism and converted to Judaism, something far, far worse. Continuing, now out of academic, American Encyclopedia, 1985. Ashkenazim. The Ashkenazim, or the Ashkenazi, are one of the two major divisions of the Jews. Love those people. The other being the Sephardim, or the Sephardic, which had the most potential legitimate claim to original Israel, but basically the Khazar Jews made sure that all the Sephardim got into the concentration camps and were actually the ones being exterminated. Anyone that had potential claim to original Israel. Now we read in Encyclopedia Americana, 1985, Ashkenazim. The Ashkenazim are the Jews whose ancestors lived in German lands. Well, even German is a code, right? Because they're the Deutsch, the Dutch. It was among the Ashkenazi Jews that the idea of political Zionism emerged. Whoa! Well, certainly connected with the Babylonian Talmud, leading ultimately to the establishment of the state of Israel. No, not Israel, just pseudo-Israel. Pseudo-Israel. Who we see today, ladies and gentlemen. Pseudo. Put on a suit and a tie, look pretty good, but not. In the late 1900s, Ashkenazi Jews numbered some 11 million, about 84% of the world Jewish population. Okay, there you go. The Jewish Encyclopedia, Khazars, a non-Semitic, Asiatic, Mongolian tribal nation who immigrated into Eastern Europe about the 1st century, who were converted as an entire nation to Judaism, aka the Babylonian Talmud, in the 7th century by the expanding Russian Hoopla nation, which absorbed the entire Khazar population. Couldn't happen to a more friendlier group. They got him on the front door and the back door, Lenin. And who account for the presence in Eastern Europe of the great numbers of Yiddish-speaking Jews, quote unquote, in Russia, Poland, Lithuania, Galicia, Bessarabia, and Romania. The Encyclopedia Judaica, 1972, quote, Khazars, a national group of general Turkic type, independent and sovereign, for what it's worth, in Eastern Europe between the 7th and 10th century CE. During part of this time, the leading Khazars professed Judaism, not with a Y, but with a J, because it was a latecomer when they switched out Isus for Jesus. In spite of the negligible information of an archaeological nature, the presence of Jewish groups who sacrifice children, and the impact of Jewish ideas in Eastern Europe, they hate our guts, are considerable during the Middle Ages. Groups have been mentioned as migrating into Central Europe from the East, often to be referred to as Khazars, psychopaths, thus making it impossible to overlook the possibility that they originated from within the former Khazar Empire. Now we read in the Universal Jewish Encyclopedia, quote, Khazars, a medieval, very evil, people, probably related to the Volga Bulgars, whose ruling class adapted Judaism during the 8th century. The Khazars seem to have emerged during the 6th century from the vast nomadic Hun, he was a real honey, Turkey Empire, which stretched from the steppes of Eastern Europe from the Volga basin to the Chinese frontier, although it is often claimed that allusions to the Khazars are found as early as 200 CE. Actually, they are not mentioned until 627. It's about the same time we got them Islamic babies. Gotta love Islam, babe. Most Jewish historians date the conversion of the Khazar king to Judaism during the first half of this century, that being 600 AD. Anno Domini, in the dominion. That's what they meant. Their dominion. The primary meaning of Ashkenaz and Ashkenazim in Hebrew is Germany and Germans. No kidding? No kidding. The primary meaning of Ashkenaz and Ashkenazim in Hebrew is Germany and Germans. Are you getting the picture, ladies and gentlemen? Shall I read? This may be due to the fact that the home of the ancient ancestors of the Germans is Media. Oh, where the town of Nicomedia is, and the very middle word is comedy. Nicomedia, right there in the middle, we get comedy. The real power brokers from ancient time working in between the East and the West, right hand serving the left hand serving the right hand. Right there. This may be due to the fact that the home of the ancient ancestors of the Germans is Media, right there in central Turkey, right there at the crossroads, which is the biblical Ashkenaz. Koros is of the opinion that in the early medieval ages, Khazars were sometimes referred to as Ashkenazim. About 92% of all the Jews, are approximately 14,500,000 are Ashkenazim. The Bible relates that the Khazars, Ashkenaz, Jews, all caps, are the sons of Japheth and not Shem. Worse than that, ladies and gentlemen, worse than that. Now, these are the generations of the sons of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And unto them were the sons born after the flood, the sons of Japheth, the sons of Gomer, Ashkenaz. So the Bible verifies that the Ashkenaz Khazars, Jews in quotes, Khazars, not Jews. That word didn't come till about 1000 AD, so kick it out. These Khazars are not the descendants of Shem, not the descendants of Shem, and therefore cannot be Shemitic. Now, the American People's Encyclopedia for 1954 at 15-292 records the following in reference to the Khazars. Quote, in the year 740 AD, the Khazars were officially converted to Judaism. A century later, they were crushed by the incoming Slavic-speaking people and were scattered over Central Europe, where they were known as Jews. I guess they had to change their name. It is from this grouping that most Germans, Polish, and Hungarian Jews are descended. And they likewise make up a considerable part of that population now found in America. The term Ashkenazim is applied to this round-headed, dark-complexioned division. Academic American Encyclopedia, Deluxe Library Edition, Volume 12, page 66, states, quote, the Khazars, a Turkish people, created a commercial and political empire that dominated substantial parts of South Russia during much of the 7th through 10th centuries. During the 8th century, the Khazar aristocracy and the Khagan king were converted to Judaism, unquote. The New Encyclopedia Britannica, Volume 6, page 836, relates, quote, Khazar, member of the Confederation of Turkish-speaking tribes that in the late 6th century AD, right around the forming of the Muslims by the Vatican, established a major commercial empire converting the southeastern section of the modern European Russia. But the most striking characteristic of the Khazars was the apparent adoption of Judaism by the Khagan and the greater part of the ruling class in about 740. The fact itself, however, is undisputed and unparalleled in the history of Central Eurasia. A few scholars have asserted that the Judaized Khazars were the remote ancestors of many of the Jews of Eastern Europe and Russia. Collier's Encyclopedia, Volume 14, page 65 states, quote, Khazars, Khazars, a semi-nomadic tribe of Turkish or Tartar origin who first appeared in northern of the Caucasus in the early part of the 3rd century. In the 8th century, Khagan Bulan decided in favor of the Jews and accepted Judaism for himself and for his people. Babylonian Talmud. New Catholic Encyclopedia, Volume 8, page 173 relates, quote, the Khazars were an ethnic group belonging to the Turkish peoples, who, toward the end of the 2nd century of the Christian era, had settled in the region between the Caucasus and the peoples and the lower Volga. and Don rivers. At the beginning of the 8th century, dynastic ties beyond the Khazars more closely to Constantinople, which led to a limited spread of Christianity among them. They also became acquainted with Judaism from the numerous Jews, quote unquote, who lived in the Crimea and along the Bosphorus. When the Byzantine Emperor Leo the Isaurian persecuted the Jews, AD 723, many Jews found refuge in the Khazar's kingdom. Well, not surprised. And their influence was so great that around the middle of the 8th century, the king of the Khazars and many of the Khazar nobility accepted the Jewish faith. It has nothing to do with Israel. It is Babylonian Talmud. The Cadillac Modern Encyclopedia, page 822, states, quote, Khazars, Khazars, Russian people of Turkish origin who at the height of their power during the 8th through 10th century AD controlled an empire which included Crimea and extended along the lower Volga as far east as the Caspian Sea. The Khazar royal family of aristocracy converted to Judaism, quote unquote, during the reign of King Bulan, 768 and 809 AD, and Judaism was thereafter regarded as a state religion. But it had nothing to do with original Israel, ladies and gentlemen, okay? And so there you have it right there, the Odyssey, the legacy that continues on with this fictitious 13th tribe, a surplanter, a pseudo-Israel that basically is participating in a scheme of mind control against America and people of the world, a la the Vatican, a la Islam, all of them working in tandem. And it's the greatest show on earth, ladies and gentlemen. The greatest show on earth. They got us mesmerized. They got us pulverized. They got us fraternized. They got us satinized. You know, they got every which way but loose. And Ninja is saying wow again. Okay. Yeah, it's a big wow. I'm just so tired, okay? I'm just so tired and sick of it, you know, and how many years have I been following this stuff? You know, like I know a lot of you are recent comers, and like I've been in as far as the political, because I had nothing to do with voting or political. You know, I was just studying scriptures and lost writings, and then I realized when I got stuck in a truck listening to talk radio that we had a national problem, um, and so what are we going to do about it? And I got a fax machine copier, rolled up my sleeves, got on the telephone, and you know tried to make it a better world. And we found out that this scheme that's running our world is so. And good night, Diane. I guess you're having to go. Peace and love. But this scheme is so great. It is so great. It is beyond the politicians. They are the front people. They are just following orders. There is no sovereign nation. It is a game of chess. That is the battlefield. Chess is guess. You guess. Okay? Your guess will probably be wrong because, you know, their maxim is they don't care what the answers are as long as you're asking the wrong questions, slave. So ask away. Okay? I guess, Diana, I don't understand it. And but if you're going to bed, okay, very good. No, you're up. You're just starting your day. What are you talking about? You're tired. All right, you're tired, like, you know, mentally, right? Just fed up. I got you. Yeah, it feels like I'm only just starting, right? Well, we're all, you know, the old maxim is that, you know, no matter how big your horizon gets, because as you continue to learn, your horizon grows. But we will always find ourselves at the beginning, always at the beginning, no matter how big our horizon gets. That's the great mystery. We're always at the beginning, ladies and gentlemen. We're always just starting, but there is a fulfillment. There is an end that we meet, okay? And let's go to a song, then I'm going to wind it down, all right? I'll figure out where we're going to go. Let's go to a song, and I'm very glad you're tuned in here right now. It's Saturday evening in the East Coast of the U.S. of Dimensionia, okay? But I'm Desert Owl right here. You've got the RealPublicRadio.net, Free America Radio Network. It's all of what they didn't want you to know. That's what we tell right here. You didn't know that? Where you been? Glad to have you. Be right back. Thank you, Ninja, and all of you. Thank you for being here on the Forbidden History series. You know, if you weren't there, I wouldn't be here. Okay, you know that's true, and therefore it's a group effort, and and you're all inspiring me, and and I'm just so honored to have to know so many wonderful friends around the world. Where it was just like a couple months ago, I didn't talk to anybody anymore. It'd be days, weeks, my phone wouldn't ring, and the few friends I have, you know, we already know we're all tight and everything, but but anyway, it's just really great to make beautiful new friends around the world and to have this experience. Desert, you are an amazing host. Thank you, Mew Mew. I love your name, Mew Mew. It's as cute as it can get. You know, Mew Mew. All right, Mew Mew. Thank you very much. And Ninja Cat, you know, she does kung fu against the Bhagwan Gandhi Rashish, and they leave her alone because she's got very good chi behind her. And love you too, Ninja. Thank you so much. So we're winding down the program, obviously, because we're, you know, I always try to, you know, limit the time here and not take advantage of it. But you know, you are always welcome to call. I'm looking for some people to bring on the great lies of history. You know some lies. Okay, I don't know them all. I'm going to be bringing them on, but I want you to bring me some lies that you've heard that you know ain't true, ain't correct, totally misleading, right? And all part of their confusion. They wanted to screw with our heads, you know? Screw with our heads. That's right. Ninja's laughing out loud. I always wonder when somebody says LOL, are they really laughing out loud or did they just say LOL? I'll never know, you know. But it could be, could be. But the most important thing, of course, is to say what we mean and to mean what we say. Because if we don't mean what we say when we say what we mean, then we might leave everybody behind. We may not even know what we were thinking. We may not even know why we're here. Who, what, where, when, why, and how. Who, you know, who and voodoo and voodoo. You know, we got to know it. We got to know that we know that we know. There is no belief. Okay, that means to give a little credit to something. And Mew Mew says she knows some stuff. Well, I told you to call me today, Mew Mew. I gave you my Skype. You could have called. You said you had a question, or you got a question right now. Come on, you said you. I thought you were going to call. And Ninja did something. I don't know what she did. Um, so, but I'm just grateful to be here to share with all of you. You know, I put my nose to the grindstone all these years to just I wanted to know the truth. You know, and so now I can't get over it, and I just want to spill the beans. You know, that's all it really comes down to: spill the beans. And so that's what we're doing right here. On best twice a day, then and if not twice a day, at least once a day at worst. And if really bad, I take a day off. But I come back. I come back. I got nowhere else to go, you know, other than right here, talking to all of you, my friends. Okay, you're all I have. I'm surrounded by Masons that want to kill me, you know, because they want to be, you know, have a monopoly on knowledge. You know, they hate it. They hate it when people know something. Okay, and then just laughing out loud, even louder. And but anyway, I'm grateful for the opportunity. We get a chance to bump in the night for a moment in time. We get to say hello, and to consider the things that nobody else is willing to consider. That maybe this world is being run by a group of psychopathic criminals that hate our guts and are drinking blood and doing every outlandish thing, and they've destroyed our ozone layer and they're taking our world down. There's nothing we can do to stop it. Yeah, you got it real bad in England. I know, Mew Mew. Okay, it's twice the occult that we got over here. Probably we got Boy Scout occult, you know, and over there you got the grandfather behind the curtain. Thank you, Mew Mew. Love you and all of you. Okay, so do tell your friends about the broadcast. Thank you for tuning in tonight. Hope you're telling your friends. Together we can make a slight difference. And I just want you to remember one thing. If you want to know the future, you need to look for the Forbidden History right here every morning, every evening, 9 p.m., 9 a.m. Eastern Time on the realpublicradio.net, Free America Radio Network. What they didn't want you to know, that we tell right here. Desert Owl signing off. Thank you for tuning in. Peace and love.